Yes, good evening to the participants of JCJ 2022, and today's topic is easement. Now anyone can unmute. Salma, you unmute and read what I posted on the screen. Salma, you unmute and read what I posted on the screen. Okay, Venunath. I think Salma is now going to read. Read. Salma, read.
Easements.
We can't hear you. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, because a little disturbance, I believe it is. No matter, now you could hear. Salma, read.
Easements, right of way, storage, parking, drainage.
Keep it near your gadget. Venunath, you read it.
Welcome to the aspirants of JCJ 2022-ME on the topic easement. The first, what is easement? Easement is right of way, storage, parking, drainage, support, and light.
Good. So in my last class, I was here. Limitation or conditions of easement. And now let us see. An easementary right may be permanent or for a period of years or for a limited term. And it can also be subject to the periodical interruption or maybe exercisable at a particular place between certain hours and for a certain or particular purposes. And this right can also be granted on the condition that such a right shall become a void or voidable on happening of some event or non-performing of some act. So these limitations or conditions which regard the right of easement have been specified under 6 of the Act. So if you happen to see the section 6 of the Act, and that will clearly mention, now let us see that what the section easement says. Yes, it is here. Easement, yeah. It's a bare act. Oh, it's not a bare act. Let me see the bare act. Easement bare act. Okay, I did not cover it, I believe. This is also notes. Okay, so in the section 6, let us see the Easement Act, bare act. Yeah, it is the Indian Easement Act 1882. Yes, if you happen to see the section 6, it will say about what are the limitations should be there. Could you see the section 6? Say yes or no.
Yes.
Could you, anyone can unmute and read?
Sir, इसको थोड़ा बड़ा करना पड़ेगा, then only I can read.
Because, yes, I am magnifying it. Yeah, now can you read?
Yeah. Section 6, easement for limited time or on condition. An easement may be permanent or for a term of years or other limited periods, or subject to periodical interruption, or exercisable only to a certain place or to certain time, or between certain hours, or for a particular purpose, or on condition that it shall commence or become void or voidable on the happening of a specific event or the performance or non-performance of a specific act.
But he has not given the illustration.
But you no, when you're reading like this kind of section, the most important thing is that there are certain points in this. This act covers more than 10 statements.
Yes.
But it depends how you interpret each and every line of the statement.
Yeah. So
because when you read.
Yeah. Here when you say it is term of years or other limited period, when you say limited period, we can also say, and because in the night, I am giving the, suppose if my example is wrong, you can ask me. In the night, the residential localities, there would not be any railway line whistles. Is it a
No, that is
easement
wrong.
or is it a
No, that is wrong.
nuisance?
No, it is neither nuisance nor it is wrong,
Mhm.
because any public transport which is concerning with large public, that
Mhm.
cannot be called as easement. But
Okay.
if you say if in your lane, example, in your lane,
Okay.
they cannot be a bus parking
Okay.
during night hours. That is called an easement.
Mhm.
Because railways are public utility services,
Okay.
and if you have a home happen to be or near to the railway track, so you better change your home, then ask the railways to stop
But
honking.
there is a restriction not to whistle in the
No,
night.
you cannot have that restriction. You cannot have the restriction
Mhm.
as far as public transport is concerned. But whereas this restriction can happen for the private thing to happen. You cannot
Okay.
have a public transport parking at your place in your locality during night. That is a easement. There is a limited period of time, only during night. But morning vehicular movement will happen. Everything will happen.
Okay.
Example, if you go to US, in other countries, each road they have certain fixed timings. From this time to this time, you cannot park a vehicle. After that time, you can park a vehicle there.
The traffic rule says.
Like same thing like this also. This is all the same thing like that.
So here indirectly the right will be given to a particular person,
Yes.
and there we can use it.
Yeah.
For instance, in the rainy season in the field where the crops are there, they will not allow the bullock carts to go through the crops. But in the
Yes.
summer, they can allow them to go.
Yes. Yes. Because the damage is nothing.
There is no damage at all to them,
Yes.
so let them use the shortcut to reach to a particular place. But when the
Correct.
farming is there, it will be restricted.
Yes. Yes.
And when you pass from one land to another land, your land, you can use the pathway, and where some bunds are there, from there you can pass on.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So that is also easement right to reach your field. Am I right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So that way we can consider interruptions and sometimes allowed, sometimes not allowed. So that way that easement will play it. Now restrictive easement, let us see, which says section 7 specifies that the easements are restrictive of certain rights, which are as follows. Exclusive right to enjoy. Second bullet, right to advantage arising out of the situation. In the two conditions, the exclusive right to enjoy, but how we can make it out? Exclusive right to enjoy. Here, the path of the right means the way you want to pass on to your land or house. That is, it is exclusive right. But if any guest also comes, he could also pass on by the same path. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Exclusive right means only to the owners, not to the guest.
Exclusive rights happen only with the person who holds the land property in his name.
Yes.
But it doesn't apply to other person who doesn't have right over the property. That becomes trespassing.
No, suppose the guest comes over there, then what is the situation?
No, as long as the owner has approved it, there's nothing wrong it.
Okay.
But the moment the owner says nay, then that becomes a big problem. आपने उसको भेज दिया मेरे को क्यों नहीं भेज रहे हो? Next question comes.
Yes, yes. So right to advantage arising out of the situation. If the situation rises over there, then they can allow it. If the situation will not be there good, they don't allow
Yes.
it also.
Yes, yes.
So
Example, like when there are floods in other part of adjacent lands, water
yes, yes,
blocking
yes.
is there, then it's an advantage to go from the other part of the road.
Okay.
That is arising out of situation, because normal road is
Flooded with water.
is flooded with water, but the adjacent land is dry.
Not flooded with the water, so they can pass on by that way.
They can pass into that.
So that is the right to advantage arising out of this situation. So next is profit e pendere. prendere. According to the Indian Easement Act 1882, profit a prendere is a part of the definition of the easement. An instance to explain the concept is right to take earth from the land of the other person for making an earthware is a profit a prendere. That is basically a profit made out of the land of the other person. Other example for the profit a pendere, right of fishery. Of course, when you take the tender of a lake for the fishery, yes, you do have a right for the fishery. Am I right? Participants, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
Then why you are not
Yes.
giving the reply? Right of fishery.
Yes, sir.
Do you have in your village there is a tank or a lake? No, not lake. Lake is the bigger one. Say we a tank. At the time, they will auction for the catching the fish. So a person who has taken the auction and he can have the right of fishery. So actually the tank belongs to whom? Tank belongs to whom? Oh, you are keeping
Tank.
quiet.
The owner, sir.
All the tanks, lakes, rivers belong to whom?
Government.
Government, sir.
But why you are saying owner? Your well belongs to you if it is in your field. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So next bullet is right to take fruits of trees in the season. See, even the, what do you say? Mavidi tota in English.
Orchid.
No. Anyone?
Mango orchid it is called.
Orchid comes only for the citrus food.
No.
Like the grapes. You say
No,
grape orchid.
Normally, no, I'll tell you.
Lemon orchid. And different. But for the mango, we don't say mango orchid. Mango groves. GROVE.
VES. Yes. Sorry. Correct.
That is the...
My mistake. Correct.
Yes. Okay. Now the fruits will be auctioned. Like lemons, oranges, any fruit, seasonal fruits. And they do have the right on the season to take it when such a thing comes. So this is the right which is exercised on the land apperent to the dominant heritage. Hence, there shall be an existence of two heritages. That is, one is dominant one and is a servient. The owner of the dominant heritage exercises his right on the property of the servient owner. Profit pendere is a right to do something on the land of servient tenement for the more beneficial enjoyment of the dominant heritage. In one case, not only the tender, for instance, if you have a mango tree in your land, but the branches protruded in the adjacent land, at the time, the protruded branches, fruits, who can enjoy? Yes. The branches protruded on somebody's land at the time, the mango, for instance, you take, who will enjoy the fruits?
Dominant owner, sir.
There, the person on whose land this is protruded, he is a dominant owner and he will enjoy the fruits. Even though the tree doesn't belong to
Him.
So in this way also that there is a dominant owner and there is a servant tenement or servitude. So modes of acquisition of the easement. How a easement can be acquired? Number one, a easement can be acquired by express grant. The easement can be acquired through the express grant made by inserting the clause of granting such a right in the deed of the sale or mortgage or through any other form of transfer. Means it will be in the written form.
Documented.
This involves expressing by the grantor of his clear intention. If the value of the immobile property is worth 100 or above, then it is compulsory for it to be in writing and duly registered. Venunath, why there
Yes,
will
sir.
not be any amendment to this rupees 100?
Sir, this is an old. Even if you look into the Transfer of Property or Registration Act,
Yeah.
it is still 100 rupees only.
Why
Because
it
why
is
the
not
gov-
increased?
Because you cannot have the bare minimum is 100 rupees. Anything beyond that, it has to be registered for the government to generate revenue.
Yeah.
If they,
It is the
if they
whole
make it 1
party,
lakh
you know,
rupees,
the government is getting the revenue. If they increase it, they don't get it.
get revenue. If they increase to 1 lakh something, they will not get revenue. So that's why the bare minimum is 100 rupees.
Okay. The same point will say liquor is not good for health. Am I right?
Yeah.
If you somebody make an argument, if you take the moderate, that is alcohol is useful to the body. That is a different issue.
Like people say rum. It's when you elaborate rum, it's regular use medicine.
Yeah, they say, yeah. It's 60 ml, 90 ml, whatever they say.
Yes,
But
yes,
why
yes.
the government will not stop the manufacturing of this alcoholic drinks?
Because it's a very they have excise duty on it, and the excise duty heavy. I mean, they get major of the funds. The government gets it from
Revenue
this
is
this
cutting from the
industry.
excise department.
Yeah, excise, petrol, diesel, and all these places.
So there is express grant would be there from the way that we can acquire the easement. Then another mode is implied circumstances. If you see the easementary right can be acquired or implied circumstances in the following ways. How it can be acquired? The number one, easement of necessity. Just Venunath told, if the flooded water would be there, the necessity would be to use the somebody's land. Section 13 of the Act deals with this. This consisting of the circumstances where the owner or the occupier cannot use his property without exercising the right of easement over the servient heritage. Thus, absolute necessity is the test and the convenience. If there is no other way except that way, then naturally the necessity to use such a way to enjoy his own property which is adjacent to this land, then he becomes a dominant heritage, and the other persons whose land you are walking is a servient heritage. Am I right?
Yes, yes. Now my next question is to the
Yes.
participants:
Yes, please.
if I'm using light, sunlight,
Yes.
air peacefully in my apartment, and
Yes.
suddenly someone comes and builds another apartment in front of my window,
Okay.
does that amount to easement? It's the violation.
Yes, sir. It's violation of your easement rights.
Which article says that? Which section says that?
Under the
Easement
Easement
ways.
Act.
Yes, sir.
No,
Easement is
which
nothing
section?
but right of having
No.
light.
I don't want plain explanation. Give me section. Which section says that?
Yes, sir. After tomorrow, I may tell.
I
No,
think
tomorrow.
section.
Judge will not say tomorrow you come and argue in front of me.
No. Of course, we did not prepare ourselves well. Which section also says. Even myself also don't have, because unless we
Section
go through the Bare
1
Act.
minute. Section 25 of Limitation Act says it.
Okay. My
It says that
goodness.
where the access and use of light or air to and for any building having been peacefully enjoyed herewith with an easement as a right without interruption for over 20 years, which means अगर मेरे बिल्डिंग के सामने कोई भी बंदा 20 साल से कभी बिल्डिंग नहीं बनाया है, अचानक आके बिल्डिंग बनाए, तो I can stop him from that, even though that he may be owner of that land, because it is easement.
Can we say the law of prescription?
Yeah, you can say anything.
No, even that also, a person who enjoys the property more than 20 years would be there, then the law of prescription come to his rescue.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very good, a good explanation. And here example which is shown here is for the easement of necessity. X sells his land to Y for agriculture purpose. Here, Y cannot access his land without passing through the Z's land naturally and his neighbor. And this is an easement of necessity because he cannot reach to his field unless he uses somebody's land. So it is the easement of necessity. This is an example which is given over here. When a joint property is partitioned amongst the various co-partners, and if the right of easement over one share of the property is essential for the enjoyment of the share of the other co-partner, then the latter shall be the entitled for the easement. Suppose only one staircase is there, and the partition is made for the left-hand side one person, right-hand side another person. The same staircase can be used by both of them, is the necessity. Is it not?
Yes.
Otherwise, he
What
cannot
section?
reach to his own apartment without using this one.
Yes.
Suppose if it is sold to somebody else also, the person who have purchased, yes, is the necessity of easement comes there. Even the other person also access to the easement because the apartment is sold to somebody else.
Yes.
Because the right to enjoy his own property should be there. And such
Even what
easement will.
Yes.
Easement
Even what
pass.
section?
Yeah.
Even what section 26 of Limitation Act says that any land or water upon from whom where an easement has been enjoyed
Okay.
with an interest of life or in a term of years exceeding 3 years
Okay.
from the granting thereof, the time of such enjoyment of such easement during the continuation of such interest or term shall be excluded in computation for a period of 20 years, which means if I'm using a road, a private property for continuous for 3 years or anything like that,
Okay.
I need not have to wait for 20 years.
Acha.
That is exempted from that. That is excluded from 20 years. 3 years prescribed time is there for that. Within the 3 years, the owner has to stop that.
That means immediately the objection should be shown.
Yes.
If you keep quiet, then naturally it is give the consent.
Yes.
If somebody slapped you and you kept quiet,
It becomes habit for him.
immediately you have to slap one capital, another is interest. Provided you will be a bit stronger than him. So that is the question comes over there. So now the question comes here, the quasi easement. In the case of a person transferring the property to another person, then if an easement is continuous, apparent, and necessary to enjoy, then in such a case, the transferee shall be entitled to it. Means he can enjoy it. That means a easement goes with the sale. Am I right?
Yeah.
So next point is, if such an easement is continuous, apparent, and necessary to enjoy the said property, the transferor has a right to such easement or property transferred by him. Yes, when he is enjoying the property at the time, when he is selling the property, then the easement also goes with the property. The third bullet is, in case of a partition of the property of the joint family, if an easement is continuous or apparent and necessary to enjoy the share of one co-partner over the other co-partner, then he is entitled to such an easement. Definitely. Like I told you, a house is partitioned into two, and only one staircase is there. Both can enjoy it to reach to their residence. Am I right?
Yes.
Say yes or no?
Yes.
Good. Easements are quasi and Those are arising out of a circumstances. When a common properties are converted into tenement by way of the sale, mortgage, partition, or through any other form of transfer, in such a case, there is an implied grant of right of easement. Definitely. Yes, sir, Venuna, I
Yes,
could
sorry,
hear
sir.
your sound.
घर वाले बात कर रहे हैं.
Yes, that's why I could hear your sound.
Sorry.
So here, if a cow is having the calf, if you buy the cow, automatically the calf also with you. Am I right?
But that depends how the seller is going to sell it. If he only sells the cow to you,
Suppose if it is an unweaned calf.
then it's okay. It is
So
like
that is
If
the
you buy the
condition
land-
they would put it.
If you buy the land and if there is a well in it, the well comes along with the land.
Automatically it becomes the easement rights were there. No, I don't sell the well, only land. No. Land attached, the well attached to the land, and land is, in that land there is a well.
Yes. It's a part and
if
parcel of that land.
If you say that there is a well is there, hence the rate is more. Okay. And the well is there is a fixed the motor. Okay. You can include it and say it includes everything. Then you can raise your amount if you want, and if the other party agrees. So here example, P's right attached to the Q's house to receive air and light through a window without any obstruction by his neighbor, and this is a continuous easement. And prescriptive easement. Section 15 provides for this type, following the requisites for the prescriptive easement. First bullet is, anyone can unmute and read the first bullet?
Right must be definite and certain.
Number one is, right must be definite. Very clearly it should be established. And certain also. Number second bullet is, right must have been independently enjoyed without any agreement with the servant owner. There would not be any agreement with the servant owner. It would be independently can be enjoyed. Then it becomes a prescriptive easement. The third bullet it says, must be enjoyed openly, peacefully, as of a right, without any interruption, for a continuous period of 20 years. And in respect of any government land, the period of non-interruption shall be 30 years. But somewhere I saw 50 years, I don't know where. Is it reduced 50 to 30 or 30 itself is there? Anyone?
That is there, sir.
For the government contract, how much the limitation period? Yes?
30 years, sir, I think.
How many?
30 years itself, sir.
No. It must be 50 years. Venunath, am I right? Anyway, we check it. Because when you say here 30 years is there for non-interruption, but I heard that for other contract is 6 years. Am I right? But the government contract, they say 50 years. But anyway, check subject to the correction. Now, next is customary easement. And an easement right can be acquired by virtue of the local custom. This is known as a customary easement, and which is emphasized or inserted in the section 18 of the Act provides for it. For example, people living in a particular city or a town having a right to bury the dead in particular area or riparian right to use the water. And from the time immemorial, it is a graveyard. Then automatically the customary easement will come over there. From time immemorial, they are enjoying to fetch the water from the well. Yes, it also can be customary easement. Is it clear? Yes. Answer
Sir, what
me.
is riparian, sir?
Speak.
Sir, what is riparian?
Here, riparian right to use the water means for a, let us see it, what is riparian. Here, to my knowledge, continuously enjoying it without any interruption. And that is my, okay, let me see, riparian, because with meaning. Here, riparian relating to or situated on the banks of a river. All the riparian states must sign an agreement relating to the wetlands adjacent to the rivers and streams. Such a rancher's most expensive riparian habitat means a land which is adjacent to the sea or river and where people go and fetch the water. So riparian, that is the continuously they are using the fetching the water for consumption. So riparian right to use the water. I think even for the well also we can use it. But here they say rivers and they say situated in the banks of a rivers. You know the banks. River is how many? How many banks? Yes. A river is having how many banks? Why you are not giving the answer to me? Question. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
How many banks a river is having?
2 banks, sir.
Why you are taking so much time? See here again, a riparian zone or riparian area is the interference between the land and the river of the stream. Even a river is having only 2 banks. So where you can fetch the water, automatically it is a customary easement. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Extinction of easement. How the easement can be extinguished? Section 37 to 47 of the Indian Easement Act 1882 provides for the mode of extinction of easement. Number 1, dissolution of the servant owner's right. How it comes? Let us see it. In the situations where the grantor ceases to have any right in the servant tenement because of some reason, then the right of easement ceases to exist as well. Let us see the example. This has been specified under Section 37 of the Act, and the example, X grants a piece of land to Y. I repeat, X grants a piece of land to Y for a period of 20 years. In the year 1970, so in the year 1971, Y imposed on an easement in favor of Z. Y imposed on an easement in favor of Z. In 1990, means after 20 years, Y's interest came to an end. Thus, easement right granted to Z ceases to end as well, because their limitation is there. Once the right is given with the limitation, means easement, once the completion of that year would be there, then the automatically easement will be. Easement will be. Easement will be. Say, participants, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
The easement would be seized because time period is
Over.
over. That is the meaning. So expiry of a time or happening of event. Yes, just before we discussed, if the 20 years period is there, after the expiry of the time, automatically the easement will be seized. Number 1, or happening of any event. Now let us see what is an event happening. When an easement is acquired on certain condition or for certain purposes or for certain period of time, on the fulfillment of such a condition or purpose or expiry of the time, the right of easement extinguishes as well as in accordance with the Section 6 of the Act. Suppose There is a well, and you are having a right to fetch the water from the well. Because of floods and other thing, the well is completely filled with the sand. Now you tell me. The easement would be
Extinguished.
extinguished automatically. There is no more because of the happening of a certain event. And it comes to an end. So here extinction by release. When in a situation the owner of the dominant heritage releases the right of the easement to the servient owner, the right ceases to exist. It's very self-explanatory. Let us see. Such a release can both be expressly or impliedly made. Example, read the example. Read the example.
P has
Anyone can
right.
unmute and read.
P has a right to discharge water through the caves to Q's yard. P authorized Q to construct a building to such a height as not to be able to discharge water. Q builds it and P's right comes to an end.
Did you understand what is the example? Say yes or no. Sir, let me read once again. Other participants. Sir, we don't know. Say we don't know. Other participants. Don't be dumb. Bhagwati, are you there? I don't think that Bhagwati
Yes,
could.
sir. P authorizes Q to build as he has given consent and this right of easement will come to an end.
See here, P has a right to discharge water through the use. I told you what is use.
Yes, sir. Rainy water, sir.
యూస్ ని తెలుగులో ఏమంటారు? సూరు. Am I right? P has a right. Use water means that water which falls down because of the rain through the huts. Use. Through the use to Q's yard. If the rainwater is falling through the use in the Q's yard. Okay, good. P authorized Q to construct a building to such a height and not to able to discharge water. So B builds it and P's right comes to an end. Suppose if he construct a such a way height and there automatically water would not pass on to him and the easement will comes to an end. So here let us see it. What P authorized to whom? Q. And to construct a building to such a height as not able to discharge water. So it will not discharge water, then Q builds it and P's right comes to an end. Now the question comes. Suppose instead of having the slant to that side, let we keep the slant this side, the water will not fall on the Q slant also. Even P can make the slant towards one side, his own side, then the rainwater falls in his own land, number one. Number two, if the construction height is in such a way, then the rainwater will not be fall in his own land. So that's why we can say extinction by release. One can be released by extinction. So that was the actual cause. Verunath, will you explain this example which I highlighted?
So actually, I was reading something else. I didn't hear what you said completely.
No, you read the what I highlighted and explain the example.
For example, P has a right to discharge water through the caves. Yeah. P authorizes Q.
Read loudly.
अरे सर पहले मैं तो पढ़ने दे तुम्हें.
No, padhe to bhi read, loudly you read.
No, I have the habit of reading slowly and then answering it.
So you read in your mind first. Yes, sir. Could you make it out? What happened?
हाँ सर, हाँ अभी बोल
Now
रहा हूँ.
you explain.
Because मेरा दिमाग कहीं और था. I was reading something else, so I couldn't concentrate. Okay. Now what it says that P has the right to discharge water through is it caves? CAVES?
See, P has a right to discharge water through the eaves. Eaves ante sur antaru, where the water falls over there. Rainwater.
Q's yard. P
Yes,
authorizes Q to construct a building to such a height as not able to discharge water. Q builds it and P writes commences to an end, which means that whenever there is an issue of water problem, sir, still I'm not
rainwater.
able to,
Is about rainwater.
still I'm not able to concentrate because I'm another this thing. My frame of mind is something else. I'll come to this point later on. Because my frame of mind is something on something other topic.
Okay, okay. Let us make it broader in the next class. Or I can make some short brief and then I will post to you in the WhatsApp group. How it can be raised and how his right will be extinguished. Okay? So now let us go to the termination of the necessity. When a necessity terminates the easement of necessity terminates as well. For example, A grants a piece of land to B, on which easement of necessity for B's right of his way over the A's land. Very good. Later on, B purchases a part of the A's land, which he may pass to reach his own land. When he purchases the A land, naturally the easement will be no more there because the B is the owner of the total land. Am I right? B is the owner of the total land. Earlier, he used to pass through the A's land, but now the B purchased the A's land. Then he will be the owner of the entire land. Who? 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 Give me the answer. Anyone? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
You are not giving the answer. The B has purchased A's land. Earlier, B is a dominant heritage and A is a servant heritage. Now the B has purchased the A's land. Then land belongs to whom? Everything.
Land belongs to B.
Then there is no question of servant and heritage and there is no question of dominant heritage. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
It's the termination of the necessity to come over there. Then useless easements. When an easement of such a nature that is not useful becomes incapable of being beneficial at any time under any circumstance, then the right of easement ends. Suppose easement is there, but nobody uses such an easement. At the time, it doesn't have the fruitful results. Then automatically the easement becomes useless. When you don't enjoy it, when you don't use it at the time. The permanent change the dominant heritage. So when the nature of the dominant heritage changes permanently with the increase in a burden on tenantment, the right of easement ceases to exist as the purpose of it was the beneficial enjoyment of the dominant heritage. Example, we will see it. At any time it can stop, but we will read this example. A's house is located such that he has a right of way by passing through the B's house. Then A is a dominant heritage and B is a servient heritage. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तान हमारा। जय हिंद।